Hi, my name is Avery Roy, and I'm going to be reading a story I wrote called The Cities That Never Sleep or Work. Ever since returning home to the States, I've realized that Beppe Severnini, the Italian journalist, was spot on when he claimed that cities in the United States are missing two things: a city center and a street to stroll down. Severnini also noticed that downtowns in U.S. cities are empty at certain times of the day, which is a very rare phenomenon in Italian cities. Americans don't like to spend their time walking along streets for socialization and exercise, or sitting in downtown areas like Italians do. No, we like to stay inside in the comfort of our own homes and go out only for business-related reasons. And this is not just because we're in the middle of a pandemic and a state-ordered shelter-in-place. In the U.S., cities aren't built around a central area made for people to spend time and socialize in that is free of cars. In Italian cities, there are many streets vacant of car traffic, which provides for a much more enjoyable experience in my opinion. That doesn't happen in America, and even if there were centers and streets to walk down, people would be too busy working or hiding inside their homes to enjoy them. It's all business in cities here, business and car pollution. Everywhere I traveled in Italy, I found a wonderful city center to sit in. I sat on the sunny steps that wrapped around the Duomo di Orvieto. In Siena, I sat in the brick center of Piazza del Campo that holds the Palio every year. In Ischia, I sat along a pier facing the Castello Aragonese with my feet dangling off the edge over the sparkling aqua blue water. My least favorite place to sit was in Naples, outside of a McDonald's in a dirty, glass-covered square of stairs leading to a very empty metro station. However, it served its purpose of offering a break from walking along the streets and provided a place to enjoy the conversation and the company of my friends. Most importantly, my favorite place to sit, the steps in Piazza Quattro Novembre in my beautiful temporary home of Perugia. There was always life buzzing in the city center of Perugia and people strolling down the streets. There were always so many people that I started to wonder where they all came from. The streets of Perugia certainly weren't packed with tourists and lazy Americans as they were in Florence. No, Perugia had many locals that I came to recognize and see daily. For example, Jesus Man, a sweet older man with long white hair that blew in the wind, who always wore a long coat and carried a wooden cross with him on his daily walk to the cathedral. There were two women dressed in pinks and reds who walked arm in arm around the piazza and played music out of their cell phones. There was, of course, Francesco the dog and his master on the scooter. There was Fabio's doppelganger, who was always sprinting around the city in his noticeably short shorts, looking like he stepped off of a Bodice Ripper novel cover or from one of his I Can't Believe It's Not Butter commercials. After concluding that Perugia's city center is full of locals and college students, I had an even bigger question come to mind. When do Italians work? Because all hours of the day, they were always out and about, not just for their lunch breaks. It would be 10 a.m. and the line in El Bistro would be flush with middle-aged men and women. A possible conclusion to this question might be that Italians just love their coffee, and no amount of office-quality coffee will suffice. Therefore, each employee is allowed unlimited cafe trips during the day to satisfy their needs and create ultimate performance rates. But then 11 a.m. would roll around, and at this point, all the clothing stores would be open. Italians, still on their coffee breaks, it appeared, would be browsing in and out of these stores, bags in hand. Then 12 p.m. would arrive, lunchtime, so naturally the streets would be crowded with even more people, although I'm not quite sure why, because I came to notice that Italians don't eat lunch. At 1 p.m., from my perch on the steps leading up to the Cathedral di San Lorenzo, I saw a street full of Italians in business attire walking as though they were on a mission. But if not to their offices, to where? I could go until 2 p.m. when the same amount of people would be on the streets, but I still wouldn't have any answers as to when and if Italians in Perugia work. Another place I observed this mysterious phenomenon was at the local grocery store in the center. No matter what time of day it was, Big Coop, not to be confused with Mini Coop, which would never fit inside a city center, was filled to its tiny brim with customers. Big Coop in the U.S. would be equivalent to your local Market Basket or Publix, just your normal run-of-the-mill grocery store. However, in Italy, it seemed ginormous, like a super Walmart compared to its baby, Mini Coop. Now imagine shrinking a grocery store until its matchbox size. That would be Mini Coop. The line would very easily take up most of the store, making it impossible to shop for anything without running into people. Upon walking in, I would just head to the back of the line, and before I knew it, my hands were filled with all the things that I needed as I got closer to the checkout. Grocery stores in America at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday are as desert as the Sahara, but never in Perugia. As the nights approached in Perugia, Italians would switch from sitting and walking to standing outside. Although many retired to the steps eventually as the night went on, they all stood, drink or cigarette in hand, outside bars and cafes. My favorite place to find Italians gathered at night was outside of Alimentari by the P. Cavaletti bus stop. Alimentari translated to English, means simply food or foodstuffs. I thought of it as more of a convenience store because it had all the quick and essential needs: alcohol, a frozen food section, chips, and toothpaste. The equivalent of a 7-Eleven. Now, of course, because this is Italy I am talking about, at night you could go in and have them pour you your purchased beer or wine into a plastic cup, or if you so desired, make you a mixed drink. Plastic cup in hand, Italians would stand in herds of 30 or 40 outside this convenience store and socialize. Every night on my walk to or from my apartment, I had the privilege of walking through this herd. It was very strange to me. I imagined all the sketchy Americans I'd find outside of a convenience store in the States, most likely ready to rob you with their fake guns and no teeth. But after a while it became comforting for me to walk by, and it made me appreciate how much Italians loved being out and socializing with one another. Therefore, to fit in with the Italian culture, one must plan their work schedule around spending all day walking the streets, getting coffee, sitting in the city center, and at night standing outside of Alimentari. In this case, cities in the United States are missing out on a lot more than just city centers and streets to stroll down.